Thank you for joining us virtually for a press briefing. My name is Kelly Chandler. I'm the Public Health Division Manager for Itasca County. We are hosting an additional press briefing today due to an alarming increase in community spread of COVID-19 in Itasca County. As of this morning, we have identified 575 cases in Itasca in total. To put this in a more recent perspective, 223 cases have been identified over the past 14 days, and 112 have been identified in the past 7 days. We are calculating 14-day case rates per 10,000 to inform schools on their learning model decisions. As of October 8th, our rate is at 46.1, which is up from 38.6 the weekend prior. Our Itasca County schools learning models, meaning whether they're in person, whether they're hybrid or fully distance and online, depend on the amount of cases within the community. Our schools are not seeing spread within the buildings as the students and staff are masked, they're not gathering in groups or hosting large events. Schools are doing their part to stay in-person learning. If we move to distance learning, school-sponsored activities and sports will not be able to happen. This includes hockey, basketball, wrestling, band, amongst other activities. We are calling out to our community members of Itasca County. We need your help to get cases down in order for schools to provide in-person learning within the buildings. We need that 14-day case rate count to decrease. We have the power to do this, and we can do this together. We are asking each and every person in Itasca County to do your part. Stay 6 feet apart, wear your mask, and do not gather in groups. We will now hear from student athletes and sports association and parents on why this is important to them, on why our Itasca County community being safe matters. We'll start with Blake Fox, Deer River High School football player.
So I'm just getting started with my senior year, and last year we already missed out on baseball. So I really just don't want to miss out on a full year of sports, being that's my last year. And I'm just trying to do the best I can to keep the community safe so we can continue with sports. Yes, that's it.
Thanks, Blake. And now we'll hear from Natalie Haley, Big Fork senior volleyball player.
Is it lagging at all? Okay. All right.
You're muted, Natalie. We just can't see your face. Here we go.
My laptop was lagging really bad.
Great, thanks.
Hi, I'm Natalie Haley, and I'm a student athlete at Big Fork High School. I believe sports are important because that's one way we make friends, have motivation for good grades, learn how to be a leader on and off the court, and set the highest of goals for ourselves and the team.
Thank you, and we'll introduce Jared Lovedahl, Big Fork senior football player.
Hi, I'm Jared, and without sports, students could lose that high school experience. And for Natalie and I, it would be our senior year of sports, the year we've been looking forward to our entire sports career. We would be because our last year together would not be the same.
And Kushel, President of Rapids Amateur Hockey Association.
Good morning. Thank you for having me join this today. I just think it's vital for these kids to continue with that social interaction, and with school moving from in-person to hybrid, and we're probably right on the verge of distance learning. Sports are really important for these kids to continue to still see their friends and be social with their friends and have that social interaction.
Thank you, David. Of Greenway High School senior girls basketball player.
Hi, Kelly. She's a senior. Last year was her junior year. So they missed out on junior prom, and then they missed out on their junior year of fast pitch, which was a big deal. I saw back then what it was mentally doing to the athletes. We would talk to them to, try to keep their hopes up. Let's do our part to keep it short term. I've seen the kids do their part. And now school's back. I'm having, they can do, because mentally, during the summer, they could get outside. I know too, with winter sports coming along, that's kind of their out as well. Their physical activity that helps their mentality. So I feel it's a big deal for these kids to get involved and be able to play their sports throughout the school year, especially winter sports, because it makes it such a long year as is. And again, it's their senior year. For a lot of these people, even junior year, it's taken a mental toll on if some of these individuals are looking for athletic and academic scholarships. So I just think it's really important that they're able to stay in their activities, whether it be sports or other activities with the schools.
Thank you. And we'll now move on to the question and answer portion of our press briefing. As always, we are joined by local and regional media, and we ask that you submit your questions via the chat. List your name and the organization you represent, and we will try our best to answer or have our panelists answer. We have Beth from ICTV. How is game attendances being enforced? Friday's football game looked like there was social distancing in the stands, but there was a line off the back side of the end zone with people side by side to get in that entrance. Great question. I am assuming you're talking about ISD 318. I personally was not there. What I am aware of, what has been decided for at least the football season, is that the home team will have a certain amount of tickets and the away team will have a certain amount of tickets. All tickets are pre-sale. They're starting with the student athletes and having 2 persons within their family that can attend, and then going from there as far as enforcing. So cannot speak to what was happening on the back side of the football field. From Leanne Valdez, KBJR6, can you please go over the real-time case data again from the beginning? Absolutely. Let me just pull up my notes. So we'll start with the cumulative number, which is 575 cases in Itasca in total. We've heard community feedback that knowing real-time data is much more important than cumulative data. So we've been working to respond and actually provide all of that data for the community. Past 14 days, 223 cases have been identified. So that's just under half. Just in the last 14 days. We started March 29th, I believe, was our first case. So that's quite a bit recently. And then 112 have been identified in the past 7 days. 14-day case rate per 10,000 to inform the schools on their learning model is 46.1 as of October 8th. And that data is calculated by date the test actually was done, the specimen collection date. Kelly from Duluth News Tribune, with the increasing COVID-19 cases, do you anticipate any new COVID-19 regulations from the county, or is the county considering any additional regulations? Right now, the county is not discussing implementing additional regulations that are already in place from the state of Minnesota. We are working on helping our community understand the importance of following the recommendations and protocols in place, and that is how we are proceeding in Itasca. Kathy from KOZY, are clubs popping up? Clubs may or may not be part of the school system, MSHSL. They might not be regulated by the district. I am wondering if David from the Grand Rapids Amateur Hockey Association could address that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So as everyone is probably aware, with winter sports, they've gone to a a model that is what they would call a partial season. And so what's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of these high school, for instance, hockey teams who are going to want to bridge that gap between now and when they can actually start their high school season. So there's been numerous discussions going on all over the state with how these high school hockey teams could do that. One of the ways that they can do that is to join our local amateur hockey association as a 19U model. But keep in mind, we still have some very strict guidelines that we have to follow through USA Hockey, Minnesota Hockey, and the Department of Health. So, coaches still need to be masks, wear masks. Players still need to be masked as they come into the building and leave the building. You still can't come into the building until 15 minutes prior to your scheduled event. You need to be outside the building within 15 minutes of your event ending. So there's still quite a few very good restrictions that we have to follow, but it's important that we get buy-in from everybody to make sure that we're following these rules.
Thank you, David. From Heidi at KXC, how is hospital capacity, testing capacity right now? Hospital capacity, I'm not going to speak on behalf of our local hospitals. I do believe they were asked that question by a regional media source last week and did respond to that. We actually could respond to that because it is a hot topic later on this week, whether it be in our press briefing that will take place on Thursday or a written media release that we will submit on Thursday. What we do know is there's been some hospitals on deferment for not necessarily just COVID, just hospital capacity in general. That's happened locally and regionally, although it's not every day. Hospital capacities change by the hour, but certainly something that's being monitored. And we'll try to have our hospital partners answer that later on this week. As far as testing capacity, all of our local hospitals and clinics are still doing testing. There's criteria. Not everybody who wants a test can access a test. That is very true. You have to meet certain criteria or risk factors. But as far as being able to access a test, all three are still providing testing. Beth from ICTV, I've seen some zip code data that suggests smaller areas like Bovie and Deer River have a higher than average rate of infection. Are there factors affecting those smaller communities of which you are aware? Great question, and I can say that I have not calculated out population data for those zip codes myself, although on our Itasca County coronavirus website, we do have number of cases in these geographic locations. What I can say, which is not isolated to the small communities, there have been gatherings, there have been events, there have been things happening in all of our communities. It could be worksite clusters, just small family group gatherings. All of these are contributing to the spread in Itasca County, regardless of whether it's a small community or a larger community. It's happening everywhere, which is exactly why we're hosting this press briefing to inform people on why there's spread in Itasca County and how to stay safe and slow it down. We're down to 2 minutes. Leanne Valdez, what should people be doing to help stop the spread of COVID-19 in the cases? Are they due to people gathering, care facilities? Well, I can say that care facilities are not the primary source of spread. Over half of our cases are due to community spread, whether they are knowingly infected, in contact with a positive, or whether they're a part of an outbreak, because we had a few events that are considered to be an outbreak by the number of cases, and then even in the community unknown cause. So when we're asking the community, each person in the community to do their part, stay 6 feet apart, wear your mask, and avoid gatherings. And last question, we'll try to get to 2 more. Sarah from KXC, do you know when the school district will be making the call for what learning model they will be using? Great question. Each district is a little bit different depending on what's happening within their school buildings and within the boundaries of their school district. Their goal, and again, this is a goal, this isn't hard, trying to make decisions every 2 to 3 weeks, which is recommended so we kind of understand a broader picture. Of course, if something emergent happened within one of their buildings, they would take action immediately, but the goal is 2 to 3 weeks. But no, we don't have a date on when a new announcement will be made. And last question, Kelly, again from, oh, I'm losing the above one. Sorry about that. As far as which organization, what events cause the county outbreaks? So there's multiple events. We've had weddings, we've had bars and restaurants with clusters, and we've had some work sites that there's been spread either amongst the patrons or amongst the workers themselves. So all of those events have contributed to the spread within Itasca County. All right, with that, thank you so much everybody for joining us, and a recording will be coming out soon. Stay well.